Question 53, rule on a retroactive application of tax laws. So we have prospectivity. Okay, so on January 1, 2025, the legislature passes a new tax law that, among other things, imposes 5% additional penalty on all unfiled tax returns from the year 2024. Now, prior to this law, ang penalty for unfiled returns was only 3%. Now, the BIR attempts to apply the new 5% penalty to all taxpayers for failed to file the returns of the 2024 calendar year. So even though the deadline for filing those returns passed in 2024, before the new law was enacted. In evaluating the BIR's action, what is the governing rule of the effectivity of the tax laws, and how does it apply to this scenario? Okay. Now in here we're talking about the penalty. It's not about the tax itself, it's the penalty for those that are filed late sa 2024. Pero ang nangyari dito, this law was passed only on January 1, 2025. So tapos na nangyari yung mga late filing. Now, yung mga penalty kasi is a punitive act, parang just a penalty, a consequence of non-compliance. Yun yung ano doon. So paano yan? Could it be allowed na pwedeng i-retroact yung application ng penalty? Okay, so that's the question that we are going to resolve at this time. Now, so in our here, we are going to select, so we start at letter A. Sabi ng letter A, strict retroactivity. Tax laws are generally remedial and curative in nature. Okay, actually, ang tax law is civil in nature. Well, I'm not sure saan ito galing. Allowing them to apply retroactively and to pass transactions to immediately correct non-compliance, thus validating the application of 5%. Okay, letter B is prospective application. So sabi dito, tax laws are generally prospective in operation, apply only on the date of effectivity, which is correct. And the 5% penalty cannot be applied to acts failure to file in 2024 that were already completed under the old law, as this would violate the constitutional prohibition of ex post facto. Okay. Kasi ang nangyari kasi dito is ex post facto. Actually, pag mayroong bagong batas ng tax law, pwede siyang i-retroact. Pero it must be provided in the law. Ang justification dito, bakit siya pwede i-retroact, can be retroacted. Kasi because of it is civil in nature, yung tax. So, since this one is a penalty, this is not about the taxation of being civil in nature. Ano na to? Parang punitive as a consequence of the for non-compliance. It's about penalty. So, punitive na to doon sa action of non-compliance. So, therefore, it cannot be applied retroactively kasi this is a provision of the ex post facto. Sa ex post facto kasi, pag halimbawa, you cannot make such, this is applicable lang doon sa yung mga crime, ex post facto, that you cannot make a crime when at the time it was not declared as crime according to the law. So therefore, dito, pagdating dito sa ating penalty, it cannot be done like that. So sabi dito, ang tax laws, especially those that impose an onerous burden. Onerous burden like heavier penalty or new tax are presumed to be prospective in operation. Pero dito, sinabi dito, this is retroactive kasi sinabi niya na 2024. They apply to transaction income that arise only after the date of effectivity. Ngayon, yung retroactive apply naman a law, yung increases the penalty galing sa 3%, nagiging 5%, doon sa violation that was completed before the law was passed, kasi nangyari na kasi yung violation before the law na nagkaroon ng batas sa January 1, 2025, would violate the taxpayer's due process rights as a heavier penalty. So ngayon, yung retroactivity is only allowed if the law clearly expressly provides for it and it is not detrimental to the taxpayer. So yung ganun. Pero ito cannot be allowed kasi nga hindi sinabi yung retroactive effect dito. Sinabi lang na all filed in 2024. Okay, so that's why this cannot be done. Okay, yung retroactivity in this way. Dito naman sa general applicability, tax laws are treated like any other law, applying all pending future issues, unless the law states otherwise. Therefore, the new penalty must be applied in its current statute in force. Tax law cannot be treated alike with the other law kasi public law at the same time civil in nature ito. Civil in nature. So, and also this is not based on some like contract, just like with the civil, with what is provided civil code, kasi this is an obligation this is based on law which is sourced from the sovereign powers of the state. So therefore you cannot treat that tax law as like any other law. So this cannot be acceptable. Letter D naman, beneficial retroactivity. Yung new law is only retroactive if the new penalty is lower than the old one. But since the new, there's no also things like that pagdating, because again, the tax is civil in nature, and that punitive part of that penalty is just a consequence of the non-compliance, and it cannot, you cannot apply the tax in the same way as with the other. Let's say doon sa criminal law kasi, if the new law is like reducing the penalty, or what we call this one, the sentence of a particular crime, pwede siyang ma-apply retroactively because it lessens the burden of those who have committed the crime. So ganun yung batas. Pero dito hindi mo ma-apply pagdating sa tax. Bakit? Kasi yung tax is civil in nature. It's not a crime. Civil in nature. The purpose of this one is to raise revenue, not to punish people. Nagiging ano lang yung penalty, as a consequence lang yung hindi pagsunod doon sa pagbayad ng tax. Pero it is not the primary goal of having a tax.